I mean, this is totally TMZ, so keep going.
We do it better.
Maybe just a bunch of artists want to get together because not every NFT project is just a big cash grab.
What is with that NFT? What is that?
We do it better.
Maybe I confused the hell out of her. I don't know. I did a mic drop and left to the airport right after that.
We do it better. We do it better.
When I sit like this, it kind of looks like I have a lab.eth shirt on, which is kind of cool. I kind of want one now.
What is an NFT? Like, once and for all, how when you're out talking to people, you know, at conferences, at networking events, or even just like people who are hitting you up and asking questions, or, you know, it just comes up conversationally as a topic. How do you describe to like the everyday digital entrepreneur that you come in contact with when they ask you like, what is with that NFT? What is that?
The most common thing is that they just think it's collecting art. Most people just think it's collecting art. That's pretty much it. It's you know, digital art.
How do you reconcile that for somebody?
What I've been telling people lately is last week or so is it's really nothing to do with the art. They say it's JPEG. It's mostly a PNG, right? But to look at the art as almost the thumbnail or the cover to what you're going to get. So like if you're going to buy a gift card on Amazon or an Amazon gift card online, it comes with like a cover art thing, right? It comes with your $10 gift certificate. Everything has a label or a thumbnail or something to know what you're, you know, kind of jumping into.
What about the people who are like, oh, NFTs are a scam, it's just all a scam? Like, that is the most probably common response that I hear in my day-to-day, just talking about it with friends. And I think most of it probably comes from the fact that like it's not been made clear in this space what, like, from an educational perspective, like what the bigger picture is around it.
I mean, there are scams everywhere, right? So this is just this is in the news the most. It's something new, and I think it's clickbaity to write about scams of big projects. So people are they're not really hearing about all the projects that are doing good things. They don't hear about, they may hear about the world of women, but I think the world of women is well known in the NFT world, but I don't know how known it is if people that just don't know what NFTs are, right? So there are scams for sure. That's what makes the headlines. There's no doubt about that. Just like there's scams in, you know, other financial markets, there's scams in every industry.
Yeah, and right now it's like this space is at such a, you know,
Hey, what's up?
Sorry, we might have to bleep that out if we're using our like pen names. I was just gonna add that like this, because this is like such a volatile time right now, where there's like this, you know, all of the money and the big bucks and the headlines to be made are like a huge indicator that the space is scaling up, and with any of that, especially the rapid pace that's happening right now, is going to come the bad actors creeping in, trying to make a buck. And unfortunately, because there's so much fortunately and unfortunately, because there already is, you know, so much decentralization and like lawlessness in this space, we should have a counter that's like, anytime somebody says in this space, it just continues to add to it. You know, I think it's bound to happen. Yeah.
I do like, I mean, John, you calling it, you know, a gift, you know, making this gift card analogy, and nobody questions a Starbucks, a Target, you know, a Nordstrom's gift card, because they have, you know, they've made it look pretty. You buy this, you know, physical product, but the coding behind it, the barcode and all the digital tracking mechanism recognizes the value that has been attributed to that card, so that the utility of somebody who is receiving that card can then make more purchases within that entity. and have that exchange of currency. And I think that's a really great way to make, the analogy. And then you have small businesses that, you can get a Square, account and have your own gift card system. And there is there's no real guarantee, that small business will exist. If you want to redeem the gift card, you just have to trust in, that currency of exchange of goods for the recognition of this card. And sometimes it's not even a physical card. Like, you can do an e-gift card, and because it comes from Amazon, everyone recognizes that has, utility, and it has all the tracking mechanisms in place to have that currency. But then if it's an Etsy, mom and pop shop, then you have to trust that you're not being scammed, and that it has that tracking mechanism.
A couple things here. So with the gift cards and stuff, like literally, I had a gift card to Friendlies. Like, I don't think there's Friendlies anymore, right? But it was growing up in New England. It's all over the place. Friendlies, ice cream, and restaurant. But a gift card to Friendlies, you're essentially, I'd paid $10 or $20, or my grandmother did it and put it in my stocking or whatever, and that was exchanging $20 US dollars for this Friendlies card that can't be exchanged for anything else other than in this Friendlies ecosystem. Friendlies went out of business, so I can't use that. So it's back to the point too, but you got to know what you're buying. So it's easy if someone buys a Nordstrom's gift card, but giving a lot of plugs to like Nordstrom. But if you know what you're going to get, right?
Sponsor
Shout
us.
out. Yes.
Yeah, hit us up. Need some more clothes, as you can see. But
No, your lab.eth t-shirt is working out. Your digital t-shirt.
I kind of need it now at this point. I kind of need it. But you know what you're going to get. So I think part of the people that, like, it's hard to understand what they're going to get. And one of the reasons, because it's a lot of the stuff is new. Another reason is because projects aren't great at communicating that. But people are communicating in new ways. So some of the people here, they have no clue, like they'll buy into something, they have no clue what that is, because they don't go into Discord, not having communications, because these are where the conversations are. They're not reading roadmaps, they don't know what that is. But don't buy just art, don't just buy that stuff unless you know what you're going to get. But the people that are investing in just, apes and stuff like that, that's more often than not, unless they're with big companies or reputable companies, are going to be scams. So just know what you're buying with it.
It's like we've touched on this before. A lot of the concepts that are unfolding and happening and being activated in, this Web3 space aren't new necessarily. They are concepts like gift cards, or like buying tokens, like your Chuck E. Cheese analogy as well, that now at this point are starting to, continue to like pick up steam. And people are like we were talking about this last week, I think, John, people are using words like utilities as though it was just invented, like this last year of like, oh, what's the utility of it, and and it's like, marketing utilities have been a thing since like the beginning of marketing time. It's just that if you're not directly consuming and in like the vortex of that space all the time, to the everyday person, like, you don't use that word. So my point being is that, like, with gift cards, with a lot of these representations in Web3, they are just the same sort of tactics and underlying like strategies that have existed in retail, in e-commerce, and all of these like different spaces for a long time, and now they're being repurposed in a totally new way. And so to be able to understand that and make sense of that connection, I think, is where people are going to benefit big time in this space.
Utility is more than just a board in Monopoly, right? But Monopoly was made in like the 1900s, so that word's been going on since then.
How do I describe NFTs to people? The simple explanation is it's a revenue generating marketing tool. But I'm trying to look at this from a B2B perspective, where you can authorize any sort of this new fancy word utility in this, in an effort to try to engage your customers, increase their involvement in your product / service / company, and offer them the ability to own a certain part of that plan. Tay, you were mentioning the concept of, and this is something that was discussed a lot over the last few days, the ability to recognize that we are dealing with a different vocabulary but the same definition, and the information and educational piece on how to relay that this is not complex, this is very simple. You just have to understand that there's a link between this new terminology with what you're already used to. And that's why I'm going to revert back to what you had asked me, Sharon, or whatever your alias name is in this. The revenue generating marketing tool as an NFT could literally be used as anything. And, we had conversations over the last few days where I was challenging people, throw out any industry, any business, and I will show you the utility of what a possible utility of owning an NFT could look like. And there was not one instance where I was stumped. And again, this is where my brain is moving in this capacity to try to understand how the link of Web3 is really going to have that type of impact in any product or service, or identity factor that anybody's bringing to the table, whether you're an influencer, a small business, a large medium business, a retail business, an e-com business, a consulting business. There is a basic element of utility that we can use in this space, in an effort to try to engage people and make sure that their customers are constantly interacting with their overall plan.
Yeah, and with the caveat, like, it doesn't mean every business should right now. I mean, I don't think it's an industry you've been stumped on, but it doesn't necessarily mean everybody should do it right now. But I think there will be applications, and the way this thing goes, that everybody will be doing it at some point. So for the early adopters, or the people that are curious or want to try to stay ahead and see if it's applicable to their business, it 100% makes sense for everybody to at least look into it if they're trying to grow business on some level. It doesn't mean they should do this right now.
I want to talk a little bit about creator economy and Web3 and why creators, and I say creators loosely, it's a pretty broad term to capture, social influencers, actual content creators, small business owners. Like, I would classify a Robert Brace as a creator. So creators, why, like, what's in it for them? What is the key selling points or features? What is the features, benefits of Web3, and like, what are the risks, I guess, at this point? What's stopping just like anyone on the street from saying like, oh, I want to, create an NFT for myself?
Nothing stops that. Mike's made like 15 NFTs for people at the bar last night. But the creator, I mean, I'm down here in Phoenix, but at the Creator Economy Expo, it's like the first time ever, right? And this is probably the best event I've ever been to, for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is because it's directly to what we're trying to do. I mean, it was a merge of creators that most of them, or a lot of them, are looking to implement Web3 technologies or NFTs. But whether you're doing, the common theme is for creators that are interested in it or doing it, is it builds their community. So whether it's a coin or an NFT, it's a way to build community, and multiple tiers of why it builds a community. One of which is they can participate in the creation of what you're doing, but they also can participate in the upside in a lot of ways as well. But it's definitely a community building tool that lets followers be part of the action. So for the last, ever since Instagram had influencers, you're just following somebody, right? That's it. This is a way you actually can participate. And some of the people that bought NFTs to this event, I mean, the dude that held it, Joe Polizzi, is no joke. He's got fans, and I didn't know how many fans this guy has, but he's got a ton of fans. And the people that bought his NFT to come to this ticket got access to him and got to actually be part of the planning of what this ticket could help for other people as well. So like, they're literally planning the business with this guy that's their guru or hero in a lot of ways, or mentor. And they're in a business almost with him because they have a vested interest in making sure that that NFT goes up, and by adding continuous value for people that hold that NFT.
So the vocabulary and the definitions of this is no different. This concept for a creator is all based around who's going to support you. In certain instances that we're used to, that means signing up for an email campaign. That means signing up to some sort of a tiered membership platform. This concept of Web3 and introducing concepts like coins or NFTs or anything, it's no different. It's just integrating a different mindset from the consumer perspective that now they are actually a part of the project instead of investing into the project, or basically investing into your service. They are now a part of the actual project. And I think that as this continues to evolve, the creator types are going to come up with more creative elements on how to keep those people engaged. And that's why I'm going to revert back to my revenue generating marketing analogy of what a simple NFT is. I made it very clear to a certain number of people at CEX, like next year at this event, there's going to be so much discussion about the opportunities of content rather than what Web3 is. It's going to be how can we create and how can we evolve this industry based on our creative expertise. Because there was a ton of extremely, extremely knowledgeable and successful creators at that event. And now we're introducing this brand new concept, brand new platform that's going to increase their creative capacity. And next year, I guarantee it that the same faces that were here this year on trying to understand this new space collectively are going to be banging around these creative ideas and trying to understand how can we still separate ourselves from this very noisy environment.
It doesn't need to be a soundbite, but just so like it absolutely can be. Was your a marketing? What is it? NFT is a marketing. What did you say it was?
It's a revenue generating marketing tool.
Okay. It definitely can be for sure. And it is. I think that's the use case what we're doing. So you can use it as a, almost what people use it as a Kickstarter at some point, right? You can get things going with projects and get revenue up front to do things. Definitely can be a revenue, mostly is the way we're applying it, right? It's a revenue generating marketing tool. It can be a revenue generating community building tool. It can be a community building tool without revenue generated. Like there's but yes, absolutely a big use case, especially for the people at the conference that we're at that are marketers. That's the big talk track with it.
The creator economy and the crossover into Web3 and why NFTs and the decentralized web in general is so important for creators to have ownership. And to kind of like back that up a little bit is, for instance, when you post something on Instagram, right? You post an image to Instagram, that image lives on Instagram. It's owned at that point by Meta, and Meta in their content policies and all of their fine print state that they can do whatever they want with that piece of content. Once you've published it there, it's no longer owned by you. So for creators, especially content and digital content creators, I think one of the key amongst many other pieces in this space is that you post that you upload, what is the correct jargon for adding something to the blockchain? Is it mint? I don't know. When you add a piece of content, a digital asset, an NFT, if you will, to blockchain, when you deploy, thank you, you are owning that asset at that point. And to be able to directly monetize that asset by having your creators and your fellow creators or supporters, your community, able to buy into your creative, your content, your product directly with a direct transaction rather than having to give the social clout and equity to a platform like Instagram, Meta. I think it's just so much more exponentially incentivizing for creators, like to just be there to get the full the direct value of that exchange Wanted to get that
It's
out
a
before.
key to unlock all sorts of different creative elements, right? That's
Yeah.
I maybe John, you're right. I got to start shifting my mindset from a revenue generating marketing tool to a key that unlocks a certain amount of creative utility, because that creative utility can still fall in the line of marketing. It could be revenue generating, it could be community building, it could be all of the above. And that's really the point of what this is, really where we're at with this process, is it could be whatever you want to create it to be, which is the power that these creators have using this platform at this point. The boundaries are limited to what you want the boundaries to be. If you want to sell it, you sell it. If you want to give it away, you give it away. If you want to meet somebody in a bar and you take a picture and you put it on the blockchain and you send it to them and that's their first NFT, that's a possibility as well.
Eventually, like I'm just following the logical path of this stuff. I think in a potential decentralized platform, and I've never had a conversation about this with anybody, even with myself, but what Sharon's got me thinking about, eventually there'll be a platform where you post, and just think of like a Instagram or whatnot, that you post it, and it's not going to be Instagram, but you post it, and that essentially becomes an NFT that proves that you're the one that posted it. So everybody shares it, everybody use it, and all those things, right? So that's where this thing will eventually go. That when you're a couple things that couple things that I just wanted to chat about, and hopefully it's not going the different directions, but something that was brought up. But just expanding upon when there's an image up there, you're not really getting the image, right? It's the ownership is the token, which is the how many digits or whatever it is. What is it, Mike? It's like a long digit, right?
Yeah, it's a code that infuses itself into the blockchain.
So essentially you get an image, which is like your thumbnail, your cover art, whatever, but you're really owning this token. And sometimes that token will give you access to something. You could use it to log into a website that only these people get access to, but you're not really owning the picture. And one way, just to circle back, of where it's not always just a revenue generated model where people are making creator coins, most of them, if they're doing it right, are not taking that money out. They're just using it as a way to build community, because if they took it out, the whole thing would scramble. So they're charging services like they normally would, but it stays in this tokenized internal coin system. So using it as a community building tool.
Anyway, so I told her, I said, look, let's give a practical example. After I minted the NFT and I sent it to her.
Just keep going. Actually, I'm gonna mute myself.
This is turning into a comedy skit. I'm great, man. I'm glad that we're documenting this.
I mean, it's the only time you smile, Mike, when you're talking about giving her first experience with an NFT. So go for it.
She was smiling too. She asked me. She said, "Okay, well, what's stopping anybody from like having the same image?" And the answer is there's nothing that's stopping them. But I said, look, if I make an announcement at this bar and I say, hey, anybody who has this NFT in the next 20 minutes gets the rest of the night of drinks on me, I'm automatically increasing the value of her NFT, at which point, nobody can just come up to me with a random image and, say, hey, I hold the NFT, because I can verify if it's hers or if it's just a replication. And that in and of itself is the uniqueness of the individual token that could be verified. So it could be a very similar, I don't want to say a smoke screen, because the image itself is just the forefront, front end of the actual code. But the code itself is the value. And that code infused into a particular section of the blockchain cannot be replicated, and it cannot be repeated. And maybe I confused the hell out of her. I don't know. I did a mic drop and left the airport right after that. But
we should actually, because that's an amazing analogy and stuff. We should take out the bar reference and stuff and redo that on some other thing, on something, because that's actually interesting. Because you could do that, right? It's all about the value that you create. So whoever creates the NFT could offer any value. Like literally,
I want to play this game with
Mike.
Mike, sorry, whatever your name is.
We call it the mic drop.
Strange man at the bar with the NFTs, where I give you a scenario, or sorry, more of like a business, and then you give me the NFT utility of it because I want to know. So a local gym, fitness gym.
Very simple. Local gyms are based around memberships, right? Why is everyone laughing at me? Do I sound like I was on the red eye last night or what? Well, I mean, again, we talked about membership, we talked about community. That's the premise of a gym, right? There could be different levels, different tiers of a gym. You can have different packages where you have classes, you have personal trainers, you have access to different, discounts in the local store with food or drinks or towels or shirts or whatever. And then you can offer basically a referral system where you can capitalize on people that you bring to the gym. And all of that works in association with your NFT. So somebody comes in and they say, hey, Mike Drop brought me into this gym. That can add value or coins to my membership within the platform, right? So I can get a tokenized benefit within the gym as part of my membership, which comes with my NFT, a part of with my discounts at the local store, which comes with the NFT, and as part of all the classes that I sign up for, and I can sell or buy or rent those assets to other members of the gym. So somebody wants to try out the cycling class, I can rent out my NFT to that individual and let them try it out.
But that membership thing is a good one with the gym membership. For one thing, in terms of if you have a gym membership to Gold's Gym or whatever now, it's not like you're really showing it around, except for like I bet you Mic Drop is with his like keychain just to show people he goes to the gym. But the
I open my wallet and there's the membership card.
Yeah, like it's always there. So when you have to pull out your credit card, it's the Gold's Gym. You gotta get there for it. But the
it's right there.
But yeah, but the art, if you add really cool art to it, it's an enhancement. The what everybody sees as the cover, it's really an enhancement. So if you like, people would show this off and like, check this out, I got this cool Starbucks or this cool gift, gym membership. But two different things here, right? So NFTs could be used as a membership, and if you hold this, you get to access the gym and stuff like that. But then you could, just like a rewards program, call it a rewards program, you could offer incentives, like every time you go, you get 10 gold Mic Drop coins or whatever, right? So every time you go on the treadmill, you do this. Like you could actually burn to earn, or things that you do and earn inside that gym that could get you a protein shake or an extra class. So and what's different about normal reward systems is like, airline miles and stuff, like they go away at some point. You're like, but if this is in the blockchain, it's your own it. So it doesn't need to go away. You can own this. You could trade it. I could take my Gold's Gym memberships when I decide I'm not going to do that, or points, and give that to somebody else. So it's doing the exact same thing they're doing, but doing it in a unique way that also enhances it.
I want to bring up one more point, because we're talking about the consumer benefits or the client benefits from this scenario, right? But what about the gym itself? What does the gym get out of this? Well, the gym can now start with sponsors and affiliate partner programs where, hey, we're going to sign up with GNC, and Gold's Gym and GNC now have an NFT collaboration where people who hold the membership card for the Gold's Gym can walk into GNC and get a discount on their protein powder or any of their supplements. And that holds value to the business, because now they're expanding and sharing their communities and their client list in an effort to have GNC bring people to Gold's and Gold's bring them to GNC. The other part of this from the consumer perspective, that, again, we're talking about coins and tokens and reward systems. Those reward systems can easily be applicable to those partnerships with these other businesses too.
I think it's the traceability, right? Like you look at, it used to be without traceability, it was the punch card at the gym, because you went, somebody had an actual hole puncher, and now because gyms have barcodes and tracking mechanisms against who you are, you can have a little bit more traceability. And now whatever this NFT program is, whether it's donating to a hospital or it is a membership based, traceability, having that new age of a record allows so many different permutations of tracing, giving attribution to the ownership and the sharing in the ownership, if that's the way that these NFTs are going to be used. But even some at this point, just because it is somewhat of a artist and digital artist economy, because it's very heavy on that, like what about why are people investing in PFPs and whatnot, and that is a big NFT play in the current sense, so that's why I think it's confused as a just a JPEG is the expression, or it's just an image, a digital image. So why are people, what value do people see in a PFP?
Profile pic, yeah. I mean, I think that this corner of NFTs that's really around like hyper exclusive drop culture is only one of several different like applications of NFTs, and the Battle Bunnies being part of that. Same with like the CryptoPunks and the Bored Ape and all of that is really part of that. Like, well, I won't go into it, but like could be argued that it didn't start as that, but it's evolved now, and you're still seeing these collections that are coming out with like the 5,000 pieces to it, and it's not a new concept. Like, I don't know if anyone can explain this better, but building the community, developing the hype and the exclusivity around something, and then releasing it at like below market price, and then letting the market sort it out. And the secondary market isn't new. Like concerts do this, sports ball games do this, I hear, among other things. And so it's just, again, it's an iteration of one of those concepts where the community and like the hype driven around it and the demand driven around it yields the end result, which in our case is just translated to really cool artwork, or really just like there's the community element, there's the artwork element, and I think all of that goes hand in hand for the hype. And again, like just to reiterate, it's one element of NFTs. There's also like independent artists who are throwing their cool shit up, and like they don't have a collection, they're not doing a drop of 2,000 pieces, they're just like drawing stuff and then minting it on OpenSea or wherever that goes, and that is like that's an element of it. And then you have like the bigger brands, the Adidas and all of those, doing their bigger play collaborative stuff that really does, I think, involve those bigger utilities and kind of reflects some of the more traditional like loyalty program type of tactics. But yeah, I mean, there's more use cases and applications, I'm sure, but those like stick out in my mind as like the drop hype culture, the independent artists, the big like kind of corporate plays, and then I don't know where like VeeFriends would fit into all of that.
The profile pictures are just, that's the status. So people showing I'm part of this club. So what were the jackets that that people would wear back in the 80s or the 90s?
Member only,
yeah, members only jacket, right? Same thing. So it's status. The PFP is status, and sometimes that's enough on some of the bigger stuff. Like if you want to be associated with Snoop Dogg, that could be enough because he owns a Bored Ape or whatever. But if especially some of these smaller projects, if status isn't alone, and maybe it is, maybe just a bunch of artists want to get together, because not every NFT project is just a big cash grab. Maybe a bunch of artists want to get together and just form a club, and they can do that. And that's what the PFP could, the reason for the PFP. But the NFT projects, for me anyway, that really look from an investability standpoint, or being a part of standpoint, or being a creating standpoint, add all these different elements together.
Do you think that the overwhelming change and shift in the last 12 months for NFTs in a PFP space is attributed towards the changing of, you know, our remote digital roles, so that we are more identified in a digital sense instead of a material physical sense? You know, like even Nike having, you know, a collection, and it's attributed towards the PFP NFTs, so that you can say that this is what represents me digitally.
I think it's a combination of both, because you can offer physical utility by having your PFP or that NFT in place, and it also shows that digital flag, right? So what's stopping Nike from saying, hey, if you show up to our Nike store and you show us your Twitter profile, and your Twitter profile pic is an NFT of, you know, the Nike shoe that you hold, then you get something. So you're proving your digital identity, loyalty to this club. You show up in person, and then you also get something in person because of that, which is a loyalty factor on both sides, right? Because you show up at the store willing to pay Nike for something, shoes, hat, shorts, shirts, whatever. But you're also promoting them and using their marketing tool to put up that flag and say, hey, I'm part of this club.
One cool utility I heard this week, that I don't know if it's Nike or somebody else, but they release a NFT, like a sneaker NFT collection that it gives you, you know, perks or whatever, but you can also burn it, like destroy it, give it back to them, and they destroy that NFT so it no longer exists. But then they give you a physical, they actually make that physical shoe for you, which is kind of interesting, right? So and that works in a lot of different ways. I mean, it's bad. Some people are going to hold on to them. Some people are going to get multiple ones, and then like you give them back the token that then gets destroyed and get the physical one, which makes the supply less, which makes the hopefully the demand more, and makes the value go up for people. Like there's a lot of really cool applications that I think I don't know if it's Nike or not, but it should be if it's not.
Let me segue that into more of an artistic standpoint versus a business standpoint. And this week I heard a great story too, and I'm sure this is nothing new, but I heard it for the first time this week. There's an artist, I think out of Germany, that was he gives people the opportunity to say, hey, look, I'm going to create this masterpiece in real life, and I'm also going to digitize it, and I'm going to give you the option on which one you want, and I'm going to destroy the other one. So you can either have the digital version of my art or the physical version of my art, but either, there's the fork in the road. There's only going to be one of these. It's either going to be in digital format or physical format. You choose. And it's an interesting question as this industry or space evolves, right? Because the more we understand the digital applications of it, it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic shifts from, hey, I want something physical, to physical, I want this digital asset. And I think that's a really interesting experiment. And it's a great marketing tool for an artist, right? Because from his perspective, he gets the best of both worlds. He can create the art physically and digitally, and let his consumer decide which one is going to remain well past his existence. I think it was a part of Jeremy's presentation, who did amazing, by the way.
Jeremy.
And he was a great presenter, but he touched on a lot of key points within this space
What was he
that
presenting?
are fairly new on. Huh? I'm sorry.
Was that yesterday?
No, that was the first day. He was the
Oh,
lead keynote.
yes. Yeah, actually, we're gonna have him on a podcast.
Oh, great.
Sorry, Jeremy, I got you now. I remember now.
So he was another one where I took a picture of, created an NFT and dropped it in his wallet of him presenting at the event.
Especially if you go into these conferences, like the new business cards are these POAPs. Can't see it in here, can you?
Yeah, I know. I've seen those.
But but these are just people that you met with, and it'll be like, they're like, hey, let me give you a POAP, and then they just drop it in, and there you go. So it's like, I can't forget this guy's face that's just popping up here all the time. It says, you met Brian Piper, I guess. So
I know.
if you
Business cards are gone.
yes, And if it went in reverse, it'd be like, you piped Bryant. But no, I met him. But we need to make our own POAP for sure, because this looks like compared to what we could potentially do. Well, because can't see anything, but it looks like. But there are companies in there that are like raising capital and stuff that like, hey, you heard my pitch, here it is, and then like you remember it. So,
did you talk about Mikey and 2 cents?
that's what I was just saying. I mean, just that last part where the kid was pitching people and then dropping the thing and then eating the cereal.
What?
Mikey will eat anything. No, he had and you know, we'll let's discuss this, because this is a pretty cool concept. So he has a platform called 2 cents where podcasters can go in there and upload their content. And as a user, as a consumer, you listen to the podcast, and at any point in the podcast, you know, obviously it's a recording, it's not live, right? But at any point in the podcast, you can do a voice comment and send it to the creator of the show. They can see the timestamp and they can reply, which is interesting,
cool.
right? So now you're creating this horizontal thread of communication with the actual consumers and rewarding those consumers of the content in a tokenized system. And those tokenized systems can then be applicable to whoever sponsors the podcast, for example. It beats comments is basically the point.
So the stuff that we chatted about before is like, you hear all these things like play to earn, right? Which is like people are playing games and they earn coins that either internally that they can cash out, or they can keep it in that internal ecosystem. But there's a lot of things to go before to earn. So like this is like listen to earn or interact to earn. Or we talked about burn to earn, which you go on the treadmill at Gold Gym and you earn coins that could get you that. I was gonna say milkshake, tells you don't go to the gym, the protein shake. But you can. There's a lot of these to earns. So this model is kind of listen to earn, watch to earn, and those things are starting to happen. So it's a new way to get attention. Well, it's not a new way, by the way, but it is a way that is taken off about getting attention.
It's a way to monetize in the space.
In this space?
Thing a sound effect every time you say it.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for
I haven't said it once.
Lower thirds on here.
I haven't said
We'll
it
do it
once.
in post.